I just thought it would be cool.
Hi, folks. Welcome to another edition of DM56 Zoom style. We've got some things to talk about logistically that I was just talking about with some of the folks here and realized we need to start recording. So let me repeat a few things. For those of you, let me talk about some Cabrillo campus-wide policies that have changed very recently. In your Cabrillo classes, normally you have deadlines to declare whether or not you wish to take a class for pass, no pass, which we used to call credit, no credit, and also deadlines for withdrawing. Those deadlines have been relaxed greatly so that essentially you can do this up until the end of the semester. In other words, you can go in and change your status to pass, no pass if you wish. And by the way, instructors can't do that for you. You have to do that. So you can go in and change your status, and you can also withdraw from any Cabrillo class now, even though it's technically past the withdrawal deadline because everything's been relaxed. So you can do what's called a W, and then it's automatically, my understanding from what I heard is it's automatically changed into a EW, which means that it's an excused withdrawal, which means you can easily take the class again without any penalties. So they've loosened up quite a bit. Let's see. Let me look at my little list here. Okay, so yes, and this applies to all classes this semester, Cabrillo, what I'm saying here. You can withdraw. It's converted to an EW, which is an excused withdrawal. And as an excused withdrawal, you can get a refund and you can have it not appear on your transcript as a withdrawal. So if there's a class you wish to withdraw from, whether it's any, this or any class this semester, you can go in and withdraw. It's not clear to me whether it's automatically converted into an EW, an excused withdrawal, or you have to petition to do that, which means you fill out an online form. It's not hard. But it will be converted to an EW, and I think that happens automatically, but not immediately. So we can find out more about that. But if it's converted to an EW, which it will be, it means that you are eligible for a complete refund, and you can take the class again. And then when you take the class again, the W is removed from your transcript. So that's important news for anybody in classes where they're considering wanting to take it again because, the experience this semester has not been optimum for a lot of students in a lot of classes. In addition, as I was mentioning, you can change your status to no pass, a pass, no pass. Even though it's technically past that deadline, the deadline has been removed. So you can go in and change to a pass, no pass. Up until the end of the semester. This is the new understanding that we're getting from our deans right now. So any questions on that? I know this is kind of
John,
yeah.
if we do pass the class, can we then still take it again in the fall?
That's a really good question. I don't have the answer at my fingertips.
According to Tobin, you can, and you go into eForms, petition to repeat a class, and there's actually a checkbox that says COVID. And you have to put in like this section number when you go to take it again. And I don't know about this class because it was not an in-person class, so I don't know, but I think they're not going to look at that stuff. But anyway, you go in and you put in the class that you want to take and you actually enroll in it there. It's got the section and the class number and then the reason that you're petitioning to do it, and there is an actual COVID button, and then you click that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes, who's that? I can't see everybody. Is somebody asking a question, or does somebody need to mute themselves?
Yes, yes, I have.
I've never done that.
Folks,
I've always said it, but I've never typed it down.
I'm going to mute everybody, and then if you wish to speak, please just unmute yourself just to avoid any crosstalk. Okay. If there's a question, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, I have a question. I am
Okay.
Clara. My question is, I try to change the status pass and no pass,
Uh-huh.
but there is not a special space for say only DM56 because I am taking other course.
Right.
So they believe that you have to change all semester in pass and no pass. So this is very difficult because I like to finish my DM4 with
No,
Julia.
yeah, that doesn't sound right. No, pass no pass is on a per class basis. It's not global. So you should be able to select any class, specifically just that class, and change your status in that class only to pass no pass. So that doesn't sound right. That's not right.
So maybe I am in the wrong place.
You might be in the wrong place. And
Yeah.
again, because I'm an instructor, I don't see what you see in the same way. So I can't guide you through that. But if you want to change status to pass no pass in any class, you should be able to do that. If you're not able to do that, contact student services and they will help you with that. But I can't see what you're seeing, so I don't know how to advise you on that. But you should be able to do it on any single class this semester.
Oh, okay. I will try later.
Okay, yeah. So don't
you.
be confused by that. That's not right that you have to do it for all your classes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I know this is a crazy semester and people have more questions on how things are going at Cabrillo. I'll give you some more Cabrillo updates in a minute after I answer these questions.
On any computer related thing, if you're having trouble just accessing or using your computer, you can go into the CTC and they can actually help access your computer and walk you through things.
Mm-hmm. Let me talk about some other things going on at Cabrillo because I know people probably want to know these things. The summer schedule is online only. You probably know that. It's completely online only. The fall schedule is published. The PDF is on the Cabrillo website. The PDF indicates that it is not an online only fall schedule and that some classes are listed, as normally face-to-face and some are listed as online as usual. However, I would say there's a pretty good chance, I would say it's a probability that in the fall we may go again to being all online. This has not been decided yet. It will not be decided for a little while. They're trying, as you can imagine, the situation is somewhat fluid depending on how all the social distancing things are working out. But there's a group of people at Cabrillo, there's this emergency team that looks at all this stuff, and they're going to make these decisions over the summer as to whether or not the fall will be as it's scheduled, which is, face-to-face and online, or whether it will be completely online. If I had to guess, if I was a betting person, and I'm not a betting person, I'm really great to go to Vegas with because I don't lose money because I don't bet. But if I was a betting person, I would say better than 50% chance we will be again all online in the fall, just as we are now and in the summer. That hasn't been decided yet. It will be decided sometime in the summer. Now, if that changes, of course, what's online in terms of the course offerings will change and it'll say everything's online, blah, blah, blah. Right now, all the instructors and program chairs are being asked to go through all their courses and see which ones can be shifted to online easily, which ones can't, which ones need support services, and so forth. A big, huge question mark in all this is the middle ground of what happens if we're all online. By the fall, will it be possible to open up some of the physical support centers on campus, such as the computer lab, the CTC, the TLC, the Technology and Learning Center, the hub, the tutorial, the places where you can get tutoring and so forth. That is a huge question mark. It's possible. So there are essentially three scenarios. One, the fall goes back to normal and there are face-to-face classes. I think that's the most unlikely scenario. It's possible, but unlikely. 2, it's completely online and the campus is still locked down and there's nobody on campus, just as it is now. 3, everything shifts to online, but the physical support centers are staffed again, you know, with desks 6 feet apart, blah, 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 so that you can get support and go into the lab and use the software and so forth. That's a possibility. So the decisions haven't been made yet. This is what's being looked at. Those are the 3 scenarios as I see them. There may be some sub options there, but that is where things stand. So I don't know if you're hearing rumors or anything, but that's the latest that I hear. I'm fairly plugged into the Cabrillo system. As you may or may not know, I wear lots of hats at Cabrillo. So I'm pretty much plugged into what's happening at Cabrillo, and that's how things look as I understand it. Questions? Has anybody heard anything different? Any rumors going around?
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
I am Clara again. So right now I am in the exactly e-form pass, no pass request.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a question. I have to write something about why I asked for this change.
Oh, just
for
put
pass.
just put COVID. They're
Put
not
what?
going. They're not going to scrutinize this. You can just put COVID, coronavirus, COVID virus.
Pandemic crisis.
Just put that in. Good enough. They're really not.
Thank you very much.
They're going to
yes.
accept everything. They're not going to scrutinize this. Everybody knows what's
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to write.
Thank you very much.
You don't have to write a lot of stuff in that.
Okay. Thank you. So I am going
Sure.
for pass, no pass. Thank you.
Okay. Good question.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't filled out your Vitea online survey, there were some problems with that survey. I understand that the course names and the course titles didn't match. Like it might have said DM56, you know, art studio or whatever, I don't know. I understand that some students said that the course numbers didn't match the course names. So just use course number if that's the case. But if you haven't filled out your Vitea online survey, please do that. I sent out a link to that. And yeah, I know that there are problems with the survey. We don't control that, but yeah. Everything is so crazy this semester. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. Okay.
More questions on Cabrillo stuff I might be able to answer. Nope.
No, thank you. No.
Okay then. All right. So I have updated a few things. The online feedback forms are working, although don't worry if you haven't filled them out because they weren't working before, but they are working now. So for the current and next exercise, you can fill out the form. I want to talk a little about the final project and the remaining 3 weeks and what we're going to do. We're only going to go for an hour today. We will do another hour tomorrow, and we'll do another hour on Monday. So we got several things queued up. What was I going to say? The final project, I want to go over that and orient you to what how we're gonna do that, and also want to talk about image gallery plugins and any other questions that you may have. So let me start by asking for questions on stuff that we've dealt with so far, especially in terms of the users and permissions. If there are any problems, it looks like a lot of people were able to do that. Any problems you've run into, questions on users and permissions, or any questions you've got at this point?
Yes, I have one.
Hmm?
This is I think it's my big problem, because you are in front of many choices that you can do. You can select whatever. The problem is you are going to put this in front of the public. This is for that I am very shy when I try to select something or write something, because I think it's a responsibility, because you are going to put something in front of the public. So this is, so I don't know what is the measurements. Avoid something or prefer this way, because you don't know what happened with this web page is public. You know, this is my feeling when I am looking for create a website in this WordPress. So I don't know what is.
I'm not sure. Are you a little anxious about putting stuff out there on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are many things in this market. I don't know the market. I don't know the standards for what is the best website inside this platform. So you are in front of a big window with a lot of choices. You can put whatever, and then what is the aftermath of this kind of decisions that you take?
Well, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around your question. It sounds like you have a pretty good general question about publishing online in general. Like, are you? Let me flip this around. What do you want to be able to publish online? What is your personal or professional goal in publishing a website?
I am artist, and I make my own art books. So I am a self-publisher. Publisher. So eventually, I make all process. I have the books. I have my copyrights in what is the name in the Congress Library. But this is not the problem. The problem is I am going to sell something, but I don't know what is the best way to sell books. I don't know what is in my readers, how I can find readers that like fiction and art. How is the best price in the market for this quality of books? I like to make meetings with the readers and create something around the book, similar in the bookshop Santa Cruz. So this is the question. I have the books. I like to sell the books, but I don't know what is the environment over there for the people that I don't know. So this is my target for selling books.
There are several dimensions to your question. This is hard to answer specifically.
John,
so
John,
some of the, yeah, Robin, hi. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I have a small press, and I have created 2 websites myself from different platforms, and I'm trying to learn WordPress, which is why I'm here. And my experience is that a lot of people are moving toward audiobooks, and they're also moving toward electronic books, ebooks. If you have the rights to your books and all of that, it's up to you to market the book. And half of the thing is writing the book, and the other half is marketing it. And the marketing piece is it's a real high curve, but most people are just using Amazon now, unfortunately. I mean, I hate Amazon, but I would say that there's a lot that's not about building a website here in this question. And I would be happy to talk to you about my experience offline if you'd like, because
yes,
I have a lot of experience with this, and it's kind of, we're going down a rabbit hole that's going away from building websites. So
it would be nice.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to
Thank
you
you
offline. So
yeah,
I'll put in. Can you get the chat here?
Yes, the chat's enabled. You can post links in the chat. You can do private. I have not turned anything off. You can do private chats with other students, and you can.
I am talking only by cell phone.
She's on a phone.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't see your name or your picture. What is this?
Because I have the computer here, but Zoom asked me for sign in, so I don't know how is the process for that. The other class, I can go inside the Zoom very fast using your link from the Yahoo email. But right now, no, doesn't work. I don't know.
What is your name?
Clara
Clara.
Thomas.
Okay, I'm Robin.
I can send to you my email. It doesn't matter if many people listening. It's Clara Silvar with S, Clara, SILVAR @yahoo.com. Clara Silvar. The V is the Volkswagen. I don't know.
Okay, I will send
Yeah.
you a text on this phone and then we can connect, okay?
Oh yes, perfect. Thank you. I am in the phone right now. Sorry. I wrote to the teacher. I am really true beginner. Everything for me in the computer is for this way. Thank you. But I appreciate. I would like to work with you, talk with you with this. Thank you.
And Clara, I fixed the link to your site from the student sites page. That works now. So I'm sorry I had a typo in there. Because I had it under the name Thomas instead of Clara. I had your last name instead of your first name. So that was my mistake, but that's all working now. So if you have any other trouble, let me know. Because you had sent me email and then I fixed it and mailed you back. I don't know if you saw that, but it should be fine. But yeah, your questions are really good. I mean, but your questions are a little beyond the scope of the course, but essentially, I think your questions are more around marketing than building a website. And of course they're related, but as Robin said, and Amazon, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with Amazon, and I mostly hate. And
yes, the people told me the
really
same.
It's changed the book business. I mean, completely, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Destroyed it. Yeah.
And I was a computer consultant in the 80s and 90s, and I had small book publishers for clients. One of my really great clients was in Watsonville called The Crossing Press. They published lots of cookbooks and lots of new age, spirituality, feminist, political. They were across the board, really interesting small publisher. And Amazon essentially put them out of business quick, and everybody else. And it was sad to watch that happen.
Okay. Okay, this is I understand that this is a big deal when you are making books. Yes, it's a big deal. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know.
And I guess just to end on that, the idea of electronic books or PDFs or ebooks is huge. And if you're not going in that direction, that is something you might want to look at, especially if you're self-publishing, because it's an easy way to do that.
Yes, but I told you it's art books, so the image is almost for each page is a big image. It's not the letter is the minimum. It's almost 20% that you can read. The other 80% is images. So for that, it's very difficult to think ebooks in this way because usually the art books is you can touch the book. It's a real book. So for that I try to insist in this old style because it's art. It's not a novel or something that you can read all time. No, it's a lot of images. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. That's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And there are lots of e-commerce options as well. Besides selling through Amazon, you can, you can sell through your own website or through other sites that are not Amazon. So keep that in mind as well.
Okay.
You're welcome. Other general or specific questions? No? Okay. So let's
actually have one.
Okay. Who's that? Amanda.
This is Amanda. Hi.
Amanda.
What
color is your hair today? I have to ask because I can't see.
It's growing out. It's sad. I'm losing the purple as it grows out.
Okay.
Because I can't get my hair done, but it's mostly purple still.
Okay.
Despite my picture. I went through the thing that you had mentioned last time about switching themes and blah, blah, blah. So I went down that fun rabbit hole and finally got something that I'm happy with now to kind of just work on for the rest of the class. But are the like, and maybe this might be a specific like theme question. I didn't know if it might be a general question, but like my blog page that I set up, it like won't let me edit it through the theme. Do you know if those like the blog pages or fixed pages in WordPress, or because it was like, it's like the web page once you have it home and it has like hyphen, whatever the designation is behind it. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean when you say you can't edit it. Can you explain that a little more? In other words, I'm assuming you can edit the content on it. Is the layout or the look of it what you want to edit?
Yeah. So I can obviously do blog posts because I've got 2 on there.
Right.
But
So you can edit the content, but you want to make changes to the visual look or the layout?
yeah. So both. Because I picked like, I found like a theme, and then I found this other cool thing where you can kind of load in if the theme has pre-made pages.
Mhm.
So I updated like my homepage and all my other pages, but I can't update the blog page at all using my plugin for my page builders. It only sticks with the generic theme, and I wasn't sure if that was like a theme issue or if that was like a WordPress thing, because
It sounds like a theme issue. Now, what you could do as a test on that is to activate a different theme and do some testing.
Okay.
And then try to do some of the edits that you want to do. I'm pretty sure it's related to your specific theme. But one thing you could do is try activating a different theme and just seeing what you're allowed to do that you can't do now. The problem is it's probably how the plugin that you're using interacts with the theme. Are you using some kind of a widget to do the edit, to try to do the editing?
Yeah, I'm using Beaver Builder.
Yeah, that might be.
And I was using Elemental.
Well, I guess the decision you might need to make is how attached are you to the theme? That's Amanda, do you know any hand coding?
Loosely. I mean,
Okay.
I understand it, but I can't write it myself yet.
So
I live with someone who can, though.
okay, so this is actually one of the things that I've talked about a little in the past, and I want to get into a little more. So let me talk about this now, about the idea of child themes. Okay, so WordPress, have I talked about child themes before? I don't think we've gotten into this yet. This is usually something towards the end.
No.
Okay.
No, you haven't.
Okay, so here's how WordPress works in general. The theme is a package. You get a theme, it comes with templates, and maybe a few plugins. Maybe it comes with certain, it may have certain limitations, such as the way the homepage works. But generally, the theme has basic customization that it allows you to do easily. But then beyond the basic customizations, I mean, maybe the theme gives you the ability to change, fonts or the size of images or, certain kinds of menu items and so forth. But beyond some basic changes that the theme allows you to do easily, if you want to make these other changes, you're pretty much stymied. So what the system of WordPress allows you to do is to create what's called a child theme. Let me explain. So if you know any HTML and CSS, let me talk about what a child theme really is. A theme is HTML, which is the structure of your web pages, and CSS, which is the styling of your web pages. Those are actually 2 separate functions, and the styling is really what we're mostly concerned with. The HTML or structure is fairly straightforward, but the theme will have a lot of styling to it. This is how headlines should look, this is how blog posts should look, this is how the menu should look, and so forth. Now, there are different ways to customize that. So let's say you want to customize this blog page. Well, the theme allows you to do certain things. Okay, you want to go beyond what the theme allows you to do. What are your options? Well, number 1, you can change themes. That may or may not be your best option. Number 2, you can look at tweaking the theme, and there's a way to, okay, so let me share my screen. Just a second here. Okay. Let me, oh, you know what? I need to be able to do this. I need to go into somebody's dashboard. Let's try, here, let me try something. Oh, didn't take it, did it? I hope I remember the password for this site. It looks like I did. Okay, so if you're looking at your theme, oh, actually, if you go to appear, you can all see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so under appearance, which is where we deal with themes, at the bottom, there's theme editor. Now, this is actually, yeah, here's the warning. They're going to say, warning, you can really screw things up here, folks, if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So this is not the recommended way to tweak a theme. The recommended way is with a child theme. But before we get into child themes, this here, and again, this is under Appearance Theme Editor. This is the code for your cascading style sheet, and it's quite lengthy for most of them, especially I can see this theme. And so this is actually the guts of this. These are the style instructions for the theme. So if you're trying to make some stylistic changes, they're all here. If you understand code, you can go in here and you can literally edit the code and make the changes directly. And as you can see, there's a lot going on here, right? So what are the advantages in this? Okay, so first off, you may not have the ability to do this because you don't have the knowledge, but let's say that there's some, you can kind of figure out a few basic things. If you don't break anything, you can tweak things here. So if you knew enough cascading style sheets to be dangerous, you could go in here and you could tweak this code. And if you've taken DM60, you know enough to kind of do some tweaking of the code. Now, what happens when you tweak this code is your changes will immediately be evident, and you can make those changes you want to make. And if you know what you're doing, it works quite well. And you can do whatever customizations you want to do as long as you know how to code them. However, whenever you do an update to the theme, and theme updates happen on a regular basis on most themes, just as they do on plugins. If you do a theme update, your changes go away and your site is reverted to the theme default, the code before you edited it. And so that's one of the reasons this is not the best way to do that. Now, what I've done on some sites, what you can do is you can do your changes to this and keep track of what you've changed, either in this document or a side document. And then when you update the theme, you can go back in and reapply the changes again. So that's one option. It's not generally the one that I would recommend, but it is an easy way to make some quick style changes. The way that WordPress recommends that you tweak your themes is doing what's called a child theme. And a child theme is where you do not edit this document, which is your main style sheet, but in effect, you're creating a secondary style sheet. You're creating an extra style sheet And that style sheet would consist of the changes that you want to make to the main style sheet here. And the changes in the child theme style sheet will overrule the main styles. The reason that that's a better way to do it is that if you update your theme, it doesn't affect your child theme. So your child theme would then still be the way it was, and in theory would make those changes to the new theme update, and it would work as it did before in terms of whatever changes you had. Those changes would be saved, and assuming that there wasn't a major upgrade of the theme that broke some of the styles that you set, it usually works fine. So the advantage of the child theme is you can customize the theme without fear of those changes being destroyed or messed up whenever you have updates to the theme itself. And remember, updates to themes and plugins happen frequently sometimes. Frequently, a lot of the time, actually. So being able to make a child theme is essentially being able to edit this CSS code, being able to create CSS code on your own. And there's some other steps in creating a child theme. WordPress has online documents on step-by-step directions on how to create a child theme. You have to create a PHP file. That's not as scary as it sounds. There are tutorials online that walk you through the process. It's not hard to create a child theme as long as you know how to code CSS. It's all about coding CSS. So that may or may not be an option. But those are the options you have. You can go into this document here under Appearance Theme Editor. If you're careful, edit the CSS directly, or you can create a child theme where you're editing a separate document that's applied to this. Outside of that, the only other way to tweak what you want to do is with plugins and widgets, and you may have hit a limit on what you're trying to do with that. Sounds like, but specifically on the blog editing. Or, pick a different theme, which is a pain once you've standardized on a theme for some period of time and done a lot of work on it, installed a lot of plugins on it, and customized things. Let me stop there and ask for questions. So that's a little outline of theme tweaking. Say that 3 times fast. I want to also caution you, if you go to Appearance Theme Editor here, as I've done, you do really want to be careful because you can break things. So what I would recommend if you're going in here and you're editing this file is to append your edits to the very end of it, and clearly mark that, clearly delineate that you are, give it some space here, whatever you're putting in here, blah, 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 see how fast I can type. So it's very clear what your edits are. And so if you click on this updated, it will save those changes, and then at least they're all in one spot. And then you can copy and paste those edits to a separate document that you would hold off to the side, so that when the theme is updated and your changes are blown out, you can simply go and paste those changes back into the bottom of this document under the new theme, and then make any appropriate adjustments based on whatever changes happened in the theme. Again, this is not the recommended way to do it, but this is great for a quick and dirty. Sometimes you just want to change the color of something, and if you know CSS, you can go and find what's making that color and change it. Minor edits, this works really well. Major ones, you probably want to go to the root of the child theme. In a nutshell, that's how you want to tweak themes. Let me stop there and ask for questions. I don't know if that was helpful or not right now.
Is it possible to schedule a time to talk to you and actually run through doing this? Because I want to just change the background color of one page, which should be simple.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But to try, I have not been able to even I found out what they call it by using my web developer tool.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it in web developer. I can change it in web developer, but I can't hold on to the change, and I can't find it in that.
Well, it's definitely in this document. If you go to Appearance Theme Editor, you will see, as you see here, there's over 6,000 lines of code. So that's where all the styles come from. They're all going to be here. And so that's, if you're just changing a background color of a page, that's the kind of thing you could easily do this way. That would be
page only.
Yeah. You can do that by I'm sorry if you don't know HTML and CSS, you're not going to understand this, but if you know HTML and CSS, and I know, Anne, that you do know some, you can create a class for the change, and you can apply it on that particular web page through your WordPress editor when you go into the actual code editing mode.
So can I have a,
So I can walk you through that personally, individually, when you'd like to do that. But yes, you can do that. I can show you how to do it. And as long as you're careful that this way of doing it works really well, and you don't have to go through the hassle of creating a child theme.
I even know what they call it, what they've given it a class. I can find it. I can change it with the developer, but I can't make it permanent. So there's.
But you can. But if you go to this document, Appearance Theme Editor, and you append that change to the bottom of your document, your CSS style sheet here, that will work.
It will override the other, which is the wrong.
Yes, as long as you can, if you put an important statement on it to override. I would put an important statement on it to override it. And you probably remember what that is from CSS.
Yeah, but I can look it up.
Yeah, but yeah, the short answer is yes, you can do it, and it shouldn't be that hard. That's a very minor change. It doesn't affect your layout or anything. It's not going to break anything. So yes, you can do that, and you can do that by editing the bottom of this file. And then you don't have to create a child theme. So that's a little beyond the scope of what we cover in this intro WordPress class, but I can show you how to do that quite easily.
Okay, and maybe even.
And since you've had the DM60 classes, you'll know how to do it.
Even I would like to know how to do the child, so that might be an example of how to create a child for that one thing, even though it's really minor.
Creating a child theme is a little more involved. Not a whole lot, but it's a little more tedious. You have to do certain things to activate the child theme. You won't be able to do a child theme on this site because this site is not your site. You're not the administrator of this web hosting, as I am. But you will be able to do it on your own site, on your own hosting service. You can't install a child theme here because I would have to do it.
But I'd like to know how to do it, so I know how to do it.
Yeah, that's beyond the scope of what we're going to cover in this course. But yeah, if we create another successor course to this one, which would be like a WordPress 2 or whatever you want to call it, that would be a major focus of that, is creating and developing child themes. There's a whole industry in creating themes, as you may have guessed by looking at thousands of themes online. When you're looking at all these different themes, there are lots of people create and sell themes. That's what they do. There's a lot of market for WordPress themes because WordPress is used by millions and millions of people around the world. So, but that is basically, you really have to be good on your CSS hand coding to create themes. Creating child themes is a little easier than creating a main theme. But certainly that's where we would go with a more advanced WordPress class. But I cannot go there in this WordPress class because I cannot assume that anybody here knows hand coding, because this is not an advanced class. This is an intro class, and we do have complete beginners in this class. So talking about HTML is really going to go over the heads of a lot of people. So that's not something that is in the scope of this class. But yes, Anne, I can help you outside of class, and I will help you do that.
Thank you.
John, I might need help outside of class too. I have an issue with the featured image thing, and I don't know why it's acting weird on one page. So.
Okay.
Should I email you about?
Well, actually, is that something that is you're just have it? I don't know what the issue is, but maybe we can do that right now.
Oh, okay. Well, it's basically that. I'm going to close my door so my cat doesn't. I'm just closing my door.
Okay.
Cat is being very vocal, and I don't want him to bother us. Yeah, basically that. I'm not really sure what a featured image is, but I'm using it in place of like a banner right below.
A featured image is usually that. It's usually the banner. It's usually the big image on the top of the homepage. I'm assuming that's what your theme is calling.
For some reason, in my theme, there's a different way to have something above the menu, but it didn't work right, so I'm doing it below, but it's not showing on my blog page. And
okay, I'm realizing that our time is slipping by, so there's some things I wanted to cover right now. So maybe I misspoke. I don't think I want to do that right now because I want to kind of go over some other things, Debbie, but I can help you out after this class. Okay.
Oh,
Or
okay.
maybe can you, how about, what is this? How about tomorrow's class?
Yeah, or you could help I have time after this class if you have time.
I don't have time after this class today.
Okay.
Yeah, but tomorrow I can help you with that. So save that question, and we can, if you can share your screen tomorrow, I'm sure we can figure it out tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Because today I want to spend the remaining time talking about the final project and kind of put you guys in the direction for the remainder of the term so that we know where we're all going. Let me do that. Oh, I didn't want to go there. I want to go here. So we have 3 weeks. So what I'm gonna actually well, I think I talked too long. I'm running out of some time. Okay, so let me backtrack here. What I would this is a relatively free form and hopefully not too difficult exercise. Before we get to the final project, let me talk about image galleries. I know some of you already played with image galleries, and then you're already ahead of the game. And there are lots of different kinds of plugins, but image galleries are some of the most important ones, especially for design students. And a lot of people in the DM program are design students. So this is an exercise just to familiarize you with image galleries. I know some of you already done some image galleries, so you've already essentially done some or all of this exercise. So this shouldn't be too hard for some of you. For others, you're going to have to spend some time on it. But what I would simply like you to do is to go to a resource such as the one I linked to here, and there are lots of these, where they outline a bunch of different image gallery plugins. Image gallery plugins are useful for so many different things. So they're probably some of the most useful plugins with WordPress. And this outlines some of the most popular ones. And you've probably even looked at some of these already. But what I'd like you to do is don't buy anything, of course, use only free stuff, unless for some reason you really want to buy something. And find a gallery plugin, if you haven't already done this, that you like, and activate it and add at least 8 images into it that don't come with it. And make sure, of course, you're not stealing any images, that you have the permission to use the images, or they're your own images or they're public domain images. And just activate that and use that plugin. So because every plugin is so different, I can't give you step-by-step directions on it, but if you start working on this and you have trouble, just ask those questions in the next session, and we'll go through them and I'll get them to work for you. But at least get your fingers dirty with some image gallery plugins if you haven't already. So that is something I would like you to do. And the other thing, so let me just say a few more things, then I'll open up for questions. The final project is really the goal, and that is to make this site that you're creating conform to certain specifications. And so I've put this up, and it has a kind of a grid rubric that basically gives you the ability to try to incorporate different things into your site and get enough of the requirements fulfilled so that any given requirement is not necessary. In other words, you don't have to do all the things that are listed here, just the things that fit into the way you want to work. And so there are different points for everything, but you don't have to do everything here to get the maximum number of points. In other words, it's flexible. So there are minimum requirements, and then there are extra things that you can do. The minimum requirements are, again, the minimum. And that is that you're going to have a coherent content theme. The word theme here is not the WordPress use of the word theme. The word theme here is a design motif. In other words, you have a website that has something that it's about, that it has coherence. It's a website on a topic. It's not a miscellaneous collection of random web pages. It actually is an actual website, which means it has a topic, it has a theme, both in terms of content and in terms of the design. The design is taken care of by the actual WordPress theme that you choose, but the content is up to you. So you may have a WordPress theme that is a theme for small book publishers, but the content would be your own content. So what this means is that your theme has to have some meaning to it. It has to have a coherent theme. There should be a minimum of 8 pages, and again, you can do more than that, and you want to do more than that, but 8 pages minimum, that you are using a theme that's not the default theme. You have a menu that links to at least 5 pages of your site. Menuing is something that we'll go over in more detail. I would like to see a sitemap. This is something that we'll spend some time on. In other words, a sitemap is just, it's just a page that has links to all your other pages. Some themes come with a sitemap, some themes do not come with a sitemap. I want you to understand how sitemaps work and what their utility is. So we'll get more into sitemaps later. I'm just giving you an overview right now. I want you to have a minimum of 4 images on your project. You're going to have more than that probably. I don't want any generic content like lorem ipsum, content coming, placeholder text. You know, that, no. Notice that there is no minimum requirement for how much content you have, only how many pages you have. Pages don't have to have lots of words on them. They don't have to have lots of images on them. But I do not want to see something that's not finished in terms of, oh, this page is coming. Oh, the content's missing here. So you don't have to have a lot of content, but I do want the project to have a finality to it so that it is not looking like it's unfinished. And so that's just an overview. I'm actually going to be adding more possible, I'm not adding more to the minimum requirements, but I'll be adding more to this section here, which is different things you can do above and beyond the minimum to get enough points to get the maximum for the project. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at the final project. We will from now on be talking about the final project in various ways up until the end. But I want to give you a heads up that this is where we're going with this. So the site that you're building now is in effect moving towards this final project stage. And so, you know, you can be adding more plugins to it. You can think of the theme in terms of, am I going to finalize on this WordPress theme or am I going to change my WordPress theme? But at some point soon, you want to not start changing your WordPress theme. And you want to then focus on your content theme and make sure that you have a site that is what you want to publish in terms of the content. If you don't have any specific notion of what you want to publish in terms of the content, then I will be able to give you some ideas, and you can ask me questions on, you know, maybe you need a decision, you need to make a decision. You might want to do this or that, and I can help you decide what's best for you. But usually people take a course like this because they know they want to publish something like book publishing or whatever, and you have an idea already of what you want to publish. But if you don't already have an idea of where you want to go with this, then I can help you with that. But right now, I just want to give you the idea that you are moving toward a final site and that you want to have some idea of what that is now so that you can start building over the next few weeks to get something that's going to work for you. So let me shut up and stop there and take questions. Any questions? You may need to mute yourself.
This week, we're to do the gallery plugins. If we've already done that,
Yes.
do you want to play with some non-gallery plugins just to have the experience of playing with those?
Absolutely, but if you look at the final project, you will see that having plugins, what do I have here? The bulk of the points, I mean, well, the single largest amount of points you can get is for installing plugins. because that's such a big part of the WordPress experience. 30 points for each plugin up to 180 points. Well, how many plugins is 180 minus divided by 30? That's 6 different plugins. And you can have more than that, but that would be what you would get extra points for. So yes, sure. So the short answer to your question is yes. Yeah.
John,
Yes.
if
yeah.
I of course already have a theme, right? And I've been playing with that and installing plugins. If I want to change themes, can I do that while I'm keeping this one?
When you say while you're keeping this one, you can
So
only
I
have one
to-
theme. You
so
can
I
only
can
have
change themes.
yeah. Your WordPress site can only use one theme at a time, but you can switch back and forth when you're making decisions on which one you like. You would
But
need
not
another
with-
site to have another theme.
Okay. Okay, that's my question. Okay, thank you.
So there's yes. So essentially, you are working toward a goal here of one theme that you like that works well with the kind of content that you want to publish.
Hey, John.
In the
Rebecca
meantime,
here.
you can experiment and keep changing themes, but you want to get to the point where you're going to finalize on one. You're going to standardize on just this one theme, and that's what I'm suggesting is you want
John,
to
it's
sooner. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So if we set up a page with one theme, and we've done images, whatever, we've customized it out, and then we activate another theme to see what that looks like. If we go back to the other one and reactivate it, is everything retained that we had originally customized?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless when you change themes, then you messed around with it, whatever you messed around with, that's going to be reflected when you change back to your first theme.
Got it.
So, yeah. Now, what you, yeah. So changing themes doesn't. Okay. So let's say you built the site, you've customized it. Now you decided you're gonna look at some other themes. So you're gonna activate a different theme. Well, that's not going to destroy anything that previously existed, unless you now start making changes. So you can always switch themes, see what it looks like without making any changes to your content, and then go, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that broke that. Oh my gosh, my slideshow doesn't work anymore, whatever. Then you can switch back to your original theme and it should be as it was. Unless you've gone in and made changes under the new theme, then those changes will be reflected when you go back to the old theme.
Because my experience, I used one theme and then I activated another, and I think it was the gallery or the pictures or something didn't show up.
Right. And then when you went back to the first theme, they should have.
Yes.
Yes.
So if I'm in the new one and I do stuff in that, and then I go back to the old one, is it going to reflect the changes I made in the new theme?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now you could have made changes that won't make much difference.
Right.
For example, if you're just changing the content of pages, you're adding some more text and, whatever, that's not going to matter. It's really more about the plugins and any layout changes you may have made. But, just changing the content on specific pages in terms of text and posts and stuff, that really that's not going to matter too much.
What about popping it? Okay. What about popping in things like images from your media gallery? Do you,
that's
if you
not
switch
gonna,
themes?
Well, if you're just putting images on pages in the without using plugins, if you're just putting images on pages or taking images off pages, whatever, if you're making those kinds of content changes, that won't hurt anything. That won't change anything. But
if you use something like a plugin,
if you're using plugins to make some of those changes, then the chance is that the plugin may interact a little differently with a different theme. So that's the change there. That's the possibility there.
Great, thank you.
Good question.
I have a question. Hi, John.
Hey, Robin.
So, yeah, if you start rolling on your, let me phrase it this way. You should definitely install plugins before you start adding content. or can you add a plugin in the middle of adding content?
You can you can do it either way. However, sometimes adding content is done through the plugin. So when you say adding content, there are different ways you can, if you are just adding content, if you are just going in, if you're just going in and adding content in the normal WordPress way, like I go to a post page and I make some changes and I add some more content and I throw some images on it. I go in here and boy, my machine's a little slow. Come on, you can do it. Or maybe the network's slow. So let's say I go in here, I start writing more stuff, or I drag some images in here, I add some images in here. Adding content in that way, that won't matter when you change things. But if I use some plugin, like let's say it's a gallery plugin, and I change the content that way, that will probably be okay, but not always, because it depends on how that plugin interacts with the theme. So, but the order in which, yes, so I'm not sure I'm giving you the answer you're.
When I changed themes, I found that 2 of my galleries, it didn't make any difference. The third one wanted me to upgrade that plugin.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's an example of what I'm talking. It's exactly what I'm talking about.
And it sent an email to the old, whatever your email is. So of course, I don't know what that is. So, you know, but they wanted, I think they wanted me to buy then a different plugin.
Of course they want you to buy a plugin. Yeah.
but it broke one of them. But the others worked fine.
Yeah, so again, that's going to be a per theme, per plugin. You know, it's just.
So, so what I'm hearing is the optimal is to put your plugins in before you start adding too much content, especially if you're doing visual content, like pictures.
I would say it depends on the plugins. Yeah, because plugins are all across the map in terms of what they do and how they do it. So, like if you had let's say you had a calendar plugin, you know, because you had a nonprofit organization, you wanted your calendar of events to be, well, who's having events anymore? But so you wanted your calendar events somewhere on your homepage or on another page. Then there are so many plugins to do calendars. For example, you could put a calendar plugin. Let's say you create a page for your calendar items, and you put your you essentially are using your calendar plugin to create that page. Well, that may work fine in the theme you've got, and that may work fine in all these other themes. But let's say that you have a gallery plugin and you're using that to create this gallery, and now you change themes, that may completely break it. So some plugins are more sensitive to the themes than others.
Okay.
And again, it's on a per plugin, per theme basis, because there's a lot of variation in how these things work. Yeah, I wish I could be more specific, but as Ann said, hey, some of them worked, some of them didn't. It's like, yeah, and sometimes you just have to, and that's part of the reason you want to experiment with the different themes. You want to see, hey, you may be more attached to a particular plugin than to a particular theme, right? You may say, wow, this plugin is fantastic. I love this plugin. It's a great gallery plugin, and it has a slideshow built in. It does the lightbox thing. It allows me to very easily create these slideshow setups, and I love this plugin. And then you change themes and that plugin breaks. Even though maybe the theme that you like better than the other theme, I mean, so you have to make a decision what's more important to you. And frequently there's a specific plugin that really makes your life easier for what you want to do on your site. And you may decide on the theme based on which themes work best with that plugin. So again, it's about experimenting. And the good thing is you're not going to hurt anything by changing themes and by turning plugins on and off. But once you start modifying things using the plugins, then you have to be a little more sensitive to the changes that you're making. But really, err on the side of experimentation. It's rare that you're going to really hurt something. You may something may not function the way you want, but you can generally fix that by changing, again, going back to another theme or plugin. So it's have no fear, or have very little fear. In other words, the philosophy here is you really want to experiment with, and that's what I've been trying to encourage you, change themes, try different themes, throw in some plugins, try different plugins. It's mostly about the experimenting. You know, I mean, until you're at the point where you're experimenting. It's like, okay, I like this one, I like that one.
John, can I
It's
ask
really
another
about
question?
experimenting.
Okay.
Who is that? Rebecca? Hi.
Yes. I have a plugin called Smush, and one of the options is to strip the metadata off of your image.
Mm-hmm.
Could you address that? Is that an advisable thing, or when would you
Okay,
want to
so
do
let's
that?
talk about metadata. Good question. And I apologize, I'm gonna have to end in a few minutes, but metadata.
Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about what is metadata. Metadata is data about data. Okay, so a computer file, and whether it's an image, which has a certain set of metadata, or whether it's a web page, has metadata. So metadata on an image might be, when you take a picture with your digital camera or your phone, there's going to be, you know what, where is my Photoshop? Is Photoshop running? Let me, to make this a little more real, let me show you image
Bridge
metadata.
really shows it.
Pardon me?
Bridge shows it. Bridge shows it really clearly.
Okay, oh, I've got Photoshop up. So let me show you metadata. Let me grab an image, just a second here, from a digital camera. Oh gosh, I don't know. I have no idea what this image is, but if I open up Photoshop. Okay, so here's an image, right? Now, in Photoshop, where is that under? Let me just see if I can remember. Is it File Info? Photoshop has a place where it shows you the metadata. Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, so this is what when you're talking about what is image metadata, this is image metadata. So this picture, in other words, this is everything you see here is metadata. The resolution of the image, whether or not there was flash that fired, the lens setting, the focal length, exposure setting, the make and model of the digital camera, right? And this is camera data. So all this is metadata, and of course some of it's blank. Date created, the picture was taken on 3/11/2016 at 1:01 p.m. You know, some metadata is filled in automatically. For example, camera metadata, the camera fills that in. If you had GPS settings on your phone, location services enabled when you took the picture, some data would show up in here about where the picture was taken. You know, so this is what we're talking about. So in this digital camera, when I took it for a Canon digital camera, apparently a PowerShot some years ago, there's not a whole lot of metadata here. But you know, especially with the location metadata and so forth, there may be metadata that you don't want to publish, right? So when you publish a photo, the metadata is generally published with it. So somebody could download your photo and look at the metadata, right? So there's not necessarily anything particularly striking about it, but maybe some people are very concerned with privacy and they don't want to publish all the metadata about the picture that they took, right? Or more nefariously, maybe you stole the image and you don't want to put it online showing the evidence that you stole it with the metadata, because whoever took the picture, they could have also put in metadata that has a copyright notice. And you may be publishing it unwittingly with their copyright notice and advertising to the world that you stole this. So you're giving documented evidence to the world that you stole this image. So there may be a variety of reasons that you want to use something to strip the metadata out of the pictures that you're putting in WordPress. I'll leave that up to you as terms of whether or not you want to strip the metadata, but that's all it does. So that's what we're talking about. So if you have a plugin that's stripping metadata, it's getting rid of that data. And now you could take a look at the photos you're publishing and open it up in Photoshop or, like Ann said, Bridge or a number of graphics programs and view the metadata and say, oh, I see, okay. You can strip it yourself. You can just go in there and delete that stuff in Photoshop or add your own metadata. but the plugin simply strips all the metadata out.
I said bridge because it has a metadata button.
There you go. And again, in Photoshop, which I use a lot, it's under file, file info. That's where the metadata is in Photoshop. Who asked that question? Was it, I don't remember. But did I answer the question? I'm not
Yes, thank you, John.
Okay. How about one more question and then we'll call it a day and I'll see you guys tomorrow, or some of you tomorrow. Any questions? Okay. Tomorrow is at, oh, I don't remember, what time did I set? Is it 3?
3 o'clock.
Friday's at 3, yeah. Sorry I had to reschedule this one. These meetings are driving me crazy and sometimes I need to be in a meeting. But I'll see some of you tomorrow at 3, and if not, then I'll see you Monday. And we'll continue on. Okay, folks. Thank you very much. And I'll get this. All the videos are posted. I will post this video later today. Okay.
Thanks, John. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you
very
John.
much.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Can we
Thank
meet up
you.
for tomorrow's meeting or?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.